Hello everybody out there in Speed Gaming land. Welcome to this Speed Gaming 3 presentation of the Link to the Past Randomizer League Open League Playoffs. We've got a match tonight between Pichu and Zeruvian of Where's My Meme Item and Deep Fried 87 and Spy of Majora's Masked Marauders. I am MindDM. I am joined on the call this evening by Hammer. Hammer, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I am ready for this mode from top to bottom to be absolute chaos because that's what co-op reference is. How about you? How are you doing?
I'm doing fairly well. This is a mode where the info share part of co-op info share is really fast and furious, especially early. You're walking in and out of every cave, door, and pit in Hyrule trying to figure out where all of the things you are needed to beat the game. Now, you have to clear all 7 crystals. This is not all dungeons, so you're trying to avoid those pendants to some extent. The big keys are shuffled, but it's retro, so small keys are universal. Some of them are shuffled into the pool, some of them you have to buy for 100 rupees a pop.
And that's a good point. With veterans also comes the need to look at a couple shops. So we're going to need to find the arrow item. We're going to need to find the shop with the small keys. There's some stuff here.
Alright, so you'll see one of these entrance randomizer things. We've got Spy walking out of Sanctuary at the normal magic bat drop, and Tower of Hera sitting right next to it.
Yep, that's basically a let the insanity ensue. Although all things told, having Sanctuary bring you out at Magic Bat is not the worst place.
It's not bad. It gives you relatively free access to the village. Having access to the village is where you're going to find a lot of connectors. You're going to find a lot of everything there just because there are a lot of doors you can walk into.
Meanwhile, we do have a pickle as part of the bomb pack here, so Pichu grabbing a couple of bombs from that. Not a bad call. Speaking of bombs, Deep Fried walking into Agnes Cave and having to walk right on out.
Yeah, that happens sometimes. Sometimes you'll just walk into a dark room where you have no idea what's going on. Now, you do have the starting sword, so it is a little easier in this mode to kind of walk in, move around a little bit, see if you can figure out what is where.
Yeah, especially for early on dark rooms. If you're an early game dark room transverser, the sword makes that infinitely more possible.
It does seem that Deep Fried and Spy have split up pretty substantially here. Deep Fried is off checking the eastern entrance while Spy is in the village. Deep Fried finding the archery game there, but without enough money to play it. That's probably something that they're going to mark on their map. An info shared kind of thing, saying if you need to make money later, that's where you can go do it relatively quickly.
Yeah, and speaking of making money, Pichu just deciding that we're going to go ahead and grab the free 225 in the Houlihan Road.
Yeah,
Not a bad call.
Just gonna pop the Houlihan, go ahead, you can check front of escape from here. It gives you at least some options as far as direction goes. And Spy seems to have found the back of Skull Woods somewhere. I didn't catch where this was, but he'll have to walk out eventually.
Yeah, I want to say he's in like Kakariko Bush House, maybe, but I might be wrong. Thankfully, early on, you got 3 hearts, you got green mail. Death warping is pretty easy.
It also looked like Pichu found a 20 rupees tree pole. I'm not sure what the tier was, but that's another one of those. Well, here's a relatively easy way to make money.
Yeah, it's a good call. That can really save you a lot having that knowledge. Big key of Turtle Rock in Mire Shed, meanwhile.
It looks like it was Bombable Hut with that Skullwoods back entrance, so easy to get at. You'll expect people with the entrance knowledge, even if they just get a lamp later, it's pretty easy to go clear this out.
Yeah, there's basically one bomb jump that between you and being able to do it fire rodless, and most people who are familiar with it can easily get it done.
It's one of the easier setups in the game. You just line yourself up against the wall and step right. Time it out so that you dodge the wall master, and easy game. You got TR West entrance there at the Blind's Hideout entrance. Not really the ideal Turtle Rock entrance, but at least you've got it.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's one of those ones that can get you in trouble either way early on, because like you can technically walk in there with basically nothing and grab a couple items. You can also die like 7 times and waste a bunch of time. And there's one of those take any caves, just grabbing a heart though. We have 3 take any caves that are like that, and then one that just gives you a sword.
And one that gives you a sword.
Meanwhile, map of Skull Woods in Agina's Cave. Not the most useful item, but not terrible. Might come in handy.
Looks like Deep Fried is trying to take advantage of Tower of Hera here a little bit to have a bomb or two.
Well, with that hook shot, if you can line it up right, you can do a Hera pot, and you just need 1 bomb. Meanwhile, Spy found the back of Super Money Cave. Can grab those 2 items and keep moving.
Here's the Ruvian finding that laser eye shooting gallery and says, "All right, well, I'm gonna go check it. 3 heart Turtle Rock, why not?"
We do have the TR big key as well. Oh, gross. That was very cleanly done.
Yeah, Ruvi making it look easy. Spoiler, it's not easy.
No, goodness, no. I love how it's. I'm sorry. I love how it's Retrans and Moltorm still gave you a small key. So disrespectful.
Yeah, and without a lamp or a fire rod, it's not as though it really does you any good. It's just a small key that you've got in the back pocket for the moment. But that is a crystal. It does put a crystal on the board for Majora's Masked Marauders here at 7 minutes. That's the thing that can happen in entrance. Now, normally it kind of goes in the other direction. Usually you get to about an hour, you're still wondering where your first dungeon clear is going to come from. In this case, you've got Tower of Hera, it's a crystal, you've got an early hook shot and a couple of swingies. Yeah, get the job done.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of getting the job done, how about East Death Mountain?
Yeah, it looks like Spy caught a connector there from over at the Lumberjack Hut, I think.
I think you're correct. From Lumberjack over to East Death Mountains. There's a handful of entrances here you can grab. He'd have more if he had the hook shot to be able to hook shot back off to the left, but even without it, we've got 3 more entrances here to look at. Ooh, and there's one of those shops.
There's one of those shops. One of the things that maybe we neglected to mention about the retro setting, you also have to buy that 80 rupee arrow before you can use a bow, even once you've gotten a bow. And the bow is then going to cost you rupees to use. You're not going to find arrows. And Deadrock's doing what Deadrocks do. Spy is not going to get to check that particular Paradox Cave entrance just yet.
Yep, that's going to be it'll be an interesting dot on their tracker until they can get back to it.
Meanwhile, Zeruvian has made it all the way to Chain Chomps, is rewarded with the big key to ice of all things. Alright, not a required big key unless something's in that chest, but you kind of like to have it before you have to enter the dungeon.
Absolutely. A lot of people talk down on our big keys of like Ice Palace and Skullwoods and Swamp, but I love having them early because then you just don't have to worry about it. You can just keep moving. You don't have to worry about potentially having that one item locked behind that big chest.
And it looks like pretty much everybody's congregating back at the village here now. Zeruvian's heading north and Pichu's heading south, and Spy and Deep Fried are just kind of in the village at the moment.
Yep, Spy finding out that you can't run fast. You can't run straight faster than somebody else. So,
especially not when somebody else is using the hookshot to their advantage.
That's fair. I don't think we've seen anyone down at South Shore, though, which is kind of interesting. You'd think with 4 players, we'd have one person head over that way, but we're still waiting.
It's relatively light on entrances down there until you get to the Ice Rod Cave area, and you need a glove for one of those particular checks, and we haven't found one of those yet, so I'm not entirely surprised that our runners are dodging.
Yeah, that's a good point. I just don't think we have... I'm not sure at this point that we have enough left.
Well, in the case of the hookshot players, Deep Fried is going to go probably clean up that Paradox Cave entrance that Spy didn't get to, and then use the hookshot to cross over onto West Light Death Mountain.
Yeah, there is quite a handful of entrances there. I think we're looking at about 7 or 8. 7 in the Light World. Honestly, I think I'd probably just use Ether in this situation, but these guys are really good with their sword spins.
Yeah, there is the one magic refill in there. The problem with Ether is, once you use it on the Pokey, you still have to get about killing it somehow.
Oh, absolutely, but it's not going to kill me back.
This is true. There's Deep Fried buying his area. He's just going to buy up the whole shop. Shopkeep can close up for the day. Everything's gone.
Zeruvian completing the difficult bomb jump and popping out of bonk rocks for his troubles.
Well, it's one of those things where now you know you don't have to check it later.
That's fair. There's just something that feels disrespectful about popping out of an entrance that you can't get back into because you don't have an item that would make your life far easier.
Isn't that the story of the entirety of Entrance Randomizer, though?
That's fair. It's particularly heinous in terms of like the glove and boots entrances, though.
Looks like Deep Fried has pulled the Desert Palace North entrance here.
Yep, stealing a key and keeping it moving.
And now Deep Fried can say goodbye to all of his keys because he's found Palace of Darkness.
Yeah, that's the fun part about Retrance is if you have the keys, you can do whatever you want, but you gotta have the keys. Okay, Uncle Pack.
Looks like Pichu is following along to that Ice Palace Big Key eventually. Now, this is the same kind of scenario that Ceruvian had here a minute ago. And Pichu says, nope, you know what? I don't care about the key on that pokey that much. I'm just going to go get my pod big, and then I'm going to go get my ice big, and then I'm going to leave.
Well, you know, with 850 rupees in hand, you can buy quite a few small keys if you can get to a shop. So,
Speaking of getting places, I did miss when Zeruvian found Thieves Town here. Did you have Thieves Town marked?
I do not have Thieves Town marked. I've just been playing he's going to be popping out of there in just a minute since we don't have a big key, so.
And then we'll play Whack-A-Mole. It looks like Spy's there too. And man, it is tough to pay attention to where all the entrances are and what all four of the runners are doing. It's a wonderful thing that we have a couple of great trackers who are going to keep at least us mostly in line here.
Yeah, even with 2 trackers in Retrons, it's just a nightmare.
Oh, it's Light
right
World
there.
Hype Cave. There we go. That thing you were saying that we hadn't seen, that kind of head towards South Shore and check those entrances. Yeah, that's where it is.
And on that note, similarly to what you mentioned, there's 20 for our stun prize. That is the best stun prize of all time in a retro seed. And that is the front of Old Man, I believe. So
Yeah, it was definitely a hop down. Yep, so Ceruvian's going to rescue an old man here, and we'll find out where Old Man Rescue goes. Has all the chance in the world to be a useful starting point.
Yeah, has all the chance in the world to just come out like, floating island, though.
That's not a terrible place to come out, really.
No, but it's funny when you don't have a mirror, because it
Yeah.
could be so much more useful. Meanwhile, Dead Rocks being Dead Rocks, and Old Man giving us a heart.
Looks like everybody's more or less heading for the mountain at the moment, because I would really expect, yeah, Spy is heading exactly the same spot. Pichu is going through the connector. Ceruvian got up there some other way, and, well, Deep Fried is in the guts of Pod, which is up there.
Yep, everybody's still skipping South Shore, which I don't necessarily agree with at this point. I can understand the wanting to have your glove for M Rock and for Ice Rod Rock entrances, but at some point you got to. Spy's going to walk out at Bunk Rocks instead.
Going to get the bad news. And he's just going to have to walk back and do it again.
Thankfully, it's not too far a walk. We did. Was it I'm assuming that Deep Fried pulled the flute out of Pod.
Yes, he did.
That's relatively significant, at least for getting around.
Yep. Also a blue mail, which is nice, being as our runners are still on 4 to 6 hearts at the moment.
Yeah, that particular one was in the vanilla big key chest. So, $100 for a blue mail, basically. Spy dropping a bomb for no reason. And Pichu gonna want to dodge everything here from dead rocks to cabbages. So the hook shot could help a little bit if you can time it correctly, but it can be tricky with everything else running around. Fair point.
Spy gonna stock up on a key or two here. Deep Pride finding 1/2 a bumper.
Yep, the other half of that was Hyrule Castle main, so there's no reason to worry about that connector at all.
Scratch that one right off your list.
Deep fried turning in the old man himself, looks like here.
Yep, he found the other side of this, so he's just gonna pop out the return side. I don't think Majora's Masked Marauders know where the front of that particular connector is, but if they ever find the lamp before they find the front of it, then, well, then they'll know.
Yeah, that also means that dark room that was over in Kakariko on the right side of the Elder House, that belongs to something else, be it the Death Mountain exit cave or the back of Old Man. Or back of the S&Q spot, I guess I should say specifically.
Now we've got another one of these tripartite connectors. Pichu has found Paradox Cave, the top question mark. You have to walk down, and there are 2 more sections below it, so it has to be the top, right? It's the section that doesn't have any chests immediately attached to it.
Right.
We at least know that.
Question is Paradox Cave going to give us anything useful? So far, the answer's been no. And the answer will continue to be no. Got it.
Interesting. It does let out at Fake Pod. That gives you some access to a new part of the world. Now, without a Moon Pearl, it only goes so far.
Oh boy. Well, at least that's a connector you can't follow without a Moon Pearl, so.
The kind of unfortunate part is Kiki will not follow your bunny form, so there's no way to check the actual pod entrance right now.
Yeah, that part is especially annoying because it's an entrance that's a pain in the butt to get to normally. And then on top of that, as we find another connector here.
Yeah, a one-way connector. Well, if you wanted to body your way through on 4 Hearts Green Mail, you could collect the chest because you would be dropping down and entering Super Bunny State.
You could, but then the problem there is you have to hope that none of those mini Moldorms turn around and bust you for 2 hearts.
Yeah, hits you more than once. That's always the trick. Pichu wants the Bloomerang.
Of course, it's the best meringue.
Well, I'm not so sure about that. I'm pretty sure our runners all got the best meringue right off the hop. It's that steel one attached to a red block on the other end.
Fair enough. Oh, we are giving it a shot here. You know, I thought Pichu actually snuck by the first one, but it still took the heart. Oh,
snuck by the second
one. Okay.
Got a little room to maneuver now.
Yeah, this one I think we're going to be okay.
Oh, no, didn't quite sneak by that one, but still 2 hearts to try and get out the bottom of this cave after... Oh, the compass. That's not really ideal now. Now we're in danger.
Ooh, and stuck by that last one there, so... Ha! There's that's not a great spot for Floating Highland.
It does technically get you up onto East Dark Death Mountain. Now, maybe you don't really want that right now, but it is a thing that it does.
I was thinking more for the potential of having to drop down multiple times to get to the ledges.
Mm-hmm.
It's just having to run through Spiral Cave several times is not fun. Especially because if we get a mirror, all of that could be in logic.
All right, Eastern Palace is up here on East Dark Death Mountain.
And there's a hammer and desert.
Oh, that's exciting. Where did Ruby find a desert entrance, I wonder?
No idea.
It's fine. He'll walk out one of them sooner or later.
Yep, that's the plan.
Ruby, please don't just save and quit.
That would be hilariously spiteful.
That would be very spiteful, wouldn't it?
We are going to get to see this ice rod area.
Yep, Pichu pulling Quake out of Eastern Palace. This is very out of logic at the moment behind Moon Pearl.
Deep Fried telling that rock what he thinks of it.
Ruby's going to follow this half-dark connector, and we'll see where it spits him out. This could be the cave in the village. Nope, it is not. It's an interesting way to get to the laser bridge entrance.
It's definitely a thing. It seems relatively common. I feel like I pop out of there more than I intend to. And with Deep Fried popping out, oh, what, the mirror? Oh, okay, well. So now with the mirror sitting on the top of Bumper Ledge, with that knowledge, I would have immediately turned around and checked the other desert entrance. And then just basically make a run for every single connector I can find, because you know it's a connector that's going to pop you out there.
Speaking of finding things, Deep Fried at the Dark Fortune Teller there north of Vu has found the Take Any Sword.
That's an interesting S&Q. I thought he was going to just keep going through Village of Outcasts there, but deciding not to.
It is interesting how early we got that Tower of Hera crystal on the board for a couple of our runners, and now it's acting more like a normal entrance seed, where we've seen some dungeons, we can't really do anything with them yet as far as completions are concerned.
Yeah, I feel like the Hera one was kind of an anomaly because it wasn't even in logic. We just had the hook shot and decided that logic could go, off a cliff.
Well, that's fine. We've been running around West Death Mountain here for a while, and that's all about throwing yourself off cliffs.
Exactly.
I do like how Pichu has been taking basically every opportunity, waiting for bombs to go off and so forth, to stun an enemy if one's available and collect the 20 rupees.
Yes. Everything in this freaking mode costs money. Like, just grab all of it. This is the mode of really, really hoping that Catfish has nothing. catfish. Zora, sorry.
Yeah, one of those fish. One of those northeastern fish.
The one you have to pay for in money rather than time. At this point, though, we don't have a whole lot in the light world that's left, so I'm starting to think that it might be a bunny walking to a connector sort of thing to give us progression.
It's entirely possible. There are even a few locations that you can be in bunny form and are able to collect the item logically anyway. The hammer pegs location is a known offender for that one. You sit there and you look at those 4 skull pots and you think, all right, well, how do I get... Oh, right, I just walk around like a sensible person.
Yeah, we also have a bottle, which means that Sick Kid is an option, since we have not seen him yet, I do not believe. Tell you what, that Hinox was really trying to bar Pichu access.
Yeah, they are good at that from time to time, aren't they?
A little bit too good, if you ask me. Spy not going quite high enough and falling into that first hole here. See if he can figure it out.
And there it is. There's the there's the hammer pegs cave.
He got past the first hole and fell into the second one, unfortunately, so not able to get through that dark room. I suspect, did he enter from the Elder entrance?
I did not catch it.
Okay, because if he didn't, that's where he was going to pop out, so.
Oh no, he was up at the Specky Cave entrance.
Got it. Well, then he has not been following his dark rooms then, because he was going to pop out at Elder in Kakariko. So.
Yep, Pichu doing some Dungeon Bunny revival, going to do some Skull Woods.
Yeah, it's as good of a thing to do as anything else at this point. You're here. You've got some other stuff to check in the area. You just go ahead and grab 6 cents and keep it moving, I guess.
It's one of those things where it's all well and good, but sooner or later it really is looking like if you don't find the Moon Pearl, you're just going to hit a very, very hard lock.
There we go. He got by it. Now you just got to hug the left wall and then press down when you get through. I can't wait to laugh at him. Got him.
Yep, there it is.
I hope he hears my voice in his head right now, giving him crap for not counting his dark rooms.
Yeah, it's easier said than done in a mode like this where, you know, your partner could have been the one who said, oh, and there's a dark entrance at whatever, and when somebody tells you something rather than you walking in the entrance yourself, it's just a little bit more difficult to bear in mind exactly what's going on there.
Absolutely. I just like giving him a hard time.
Pichu and this Gibdo are having a standoff. Now she's baited it on out and has managed to stun it with the bloomerang. Somehow it had gotten up there onto the switch. Strangely enough, the door doesn't open when that happens.
Wouldn't that be nice, though?
Now, Deep Fried and Zeruvian have both gotten very healthy while I was not looking. That was a very long time to set up the Death Warp Dungeon Revival trick there for Deep Fried. Pichu is having substantially less difficulty, but remaining on 4 hearts at the moment is a choice and sometimes a difficulty of its own.
Absolutely, but as for right now, Zeruvian was able to pop out, grab that mirror, and that is another bout of progression. And this is a wonderful idea. Take it right up the mountain, go check Hera, go check all your top entrances over there, cross your fingers, drop down one of those ledges, and hope you pick the right one. I'm not sure why Spy didn't check Capacity Cave there. I don't think we know what that entrance actually goes to. Instead, we're going to check the back sanctuary here.
And Tower of Hera is another one of those connectors. No surprise that Zeruvian's not ready to follow it just yet.
Which one was that?
It looked like Old Lady right.
Got it.
In the Tower of Hera.
Yeah.
Alright, Spy's in the back of the castle in the dark here.
Yep. Trying to get to Dark Cross. I think he's in the right room at
Yeah,
this
he's
point.
in Dark Cross. He just has to land on this chest and just a shield for all the time in trouble.
I will say, for 37 minutes in, this seed has not been very forthcoming with the menu items.
It seems to have been a little more so for meme item. They seem to be up a bow. Oh, it looks like he probably does have that book now at least, but also the mirror. Bow and mirror seem to be the 2 really outstanding items at the moment.
Yeah, and I think that mirror is going to be the one that's going to determine a lot of it, unfortunately, for Majora's Mask Marauders. We have crystals in Swamp and Skull Woods, with Skull Woods being a red crystal.
Zeruvian's found the dam and is super bunnying in with that mirror.
Yeah, might as well knock it out while you're here. It also opens up that flooded item, which is easy to forget, especially if the dam is relatively late.
Yep, Spy's found it as well, but without the mirror to set that Super Bunny state, and without the Moon Pearl, you're not doing anything with it right now, Spy. You can stand there as long as you like, it's not going to change.
Don't tempt him, he'll do it. I'll tell you what, though, in terms of annoying items to have not received yet, how about we get a glove in this seed?
Alright, so that Tower of Hera entrance goes over onto the Turtle Rock Bridge. And what is that? Mimic Cave, mirroring to Mimic Cave gives you TR back.
Yep, it slightly moved. That's a place for the lamp. Okay. The map of Hyrule Castle. That's rude. The Ruvian will be able to get 4 of these items, unfortunately not the one requiring the bomb.
Yeah, that's just the way the whole Super Bunny thing works. You're able to do a few more things, but not everything.
I'm starting to have some real questions about this Moon Pearl, though.
I'm sure it's right where it needs to be.
That's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah, it is a little interesting. I've been saying it for a while now, just how much the runners are not interested in staying in logic with that Moon Pearl so outstanding.
Yeah,
It's one thing to be bunny walking in the dark world, it's another to be doing all of these fake flipper shenanigans that Spy's doing at the moment.
Yeah, especially because the bunny walking in the dark world is probably going to get you where you need to go. I didn't see where Zeruvian popped out of, like, to get that mirror, but we do know that it was right here. Okay, cool.
Yeah, Hyrule
Makes
Castle,
sense.
Maine, alright. With west
there's
at Real
one.
Pod, so you were never going in that way.
Looks like Deep Fried is going to reach the same conclusion here in a minute. Oof, Spy wastes 500 rupees on the Compass of Thieves Town.
That is one expensive compass, especially when you're going to be asked to spend money on keys, you're going to be asked to spend money on arrows.
Yep, and with 0 keys and 4 rupees, I think that's a 0. Spy is going to need to be grabbing some rupees if he needs some keys. So.
Uh, 'Pichu' is up on the top of the castle here, finds the bomb vendor.
I will say this moon pearl really likes being hidden.
Doesn't have any desire to show up yet, does it?
Oh boy. With that hammer and hook shot, this could be a lot of items. I really thought for a minute we were going to get this is the big key of this dungeon, and I was just going to sit here and go, oh no.
Yeah, and Pichu is in kind of an interesting situation key-wise. There are a lot of potential checks in here, but there are some things that she's really likely to have to leave behind.
There are enough keys that you can pick up that... I don't know, I feel like I would... Oof, I think I'd just clear it as normal and kind of cross my fingers. Oh, there's the moon pearl. Oh, and that money. Not saying no to either of those.
Yeah, delicious cash money in 3 different denominations.
And a big old crystal ball.
Alright, Spy, where are we going? We're standing around again. Choices yet to be made.
Yep, and with that mirror in hand, there are a lot of choices.
Looks like the first answer is going to be up the mountain to do those top of the mountain checks. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, definitely the first place I would go.
Pichu raiding Rando room for the cash money. The cash money, a little more cash money. Yeah, 1 shield.
Yeah, 120 bucks on a plate.
Yeah, that's a Mimic Cave that Deep Fried is not going to be able to check. Not going to be able to get at Hype Cave right now either.
That was a really weird bomb angle from Pichu. Just overshot.
Looks like Cerubian is ready to have a crystal of his own on the board. Gonna clean up Tower of Hera here really quick.
Yep, meanwhile, I think Spy is headed to the area he needs to be to go grab that moon pearl. I'm assuming that Pichu hasn't actually found the bow, because I feel like if she did with that many rupees, we would just get a bow kill here.
That seems reasonable to me. This half-heart situation is more than a little sketch for her. boomerang does do damage to these, just not much. And Zeruvian doing that trick in the back of Skull that we had talked about earlier, just lining up for that bomb jump and using the lamp to light all the torches.
And with only 2 Ormos Knights left, unfortunately, Pichu takes a death.
Well, the Ice Palace entrance is now one that Majora's Masked Marauders can scratch off the list. You can jump down into a midst-locked location to come out another midst-locked location.
Yeah, that's a thing. Gotta love entrance.
Assuming that our runners ever get one glove, if they can get both of them, then I guess that would give access to the bottom of Eastern Death Mountain, but I don't think there's really anything on that level of the mountain worth writing home about, so probably just better to scratch that one off and say no more.
Yeah. Especially because even if it were an option, I doubt it would be so much faster than any other option that it would just like, oh, let's go do this that way. We'll finally get to see the back of a hookshot. That's so rude. You can't even go to Catfish because we don't have a glove.
Catfish? What catfish? Yeah, the mushroom turned in not yielding anything of value. Looks like everybody's about to go land on their moon pearls. Deep Pride and Zeruvian are both in the right location now.
It'll be interesting to see if either of them can get past Ice Armos and if there's anything locked behind those 3 checks we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, I do wonder if Spy and Deep Pride have decided to just leave that check to Deep Pride, or if they've both kind of decided that we found the Moon Pearl, that gives us way too much, let's go ahead and make other plays right now. Because Spy got the Moon Pearl and just bailed.
Yeah, he also just died trying to get to Graveyard Ledge, so...
Zeruvian did clear Skull Woods, and oh, we have the shovel at the Checkerboard Cave and Pyramid Ferry. That's a combination of things.
It's a really, really glorified fetch quest. Ooh, that is a nice little hidden check over in the Village of Outcasts area. That hammer-locked shop can be tricky to remember to get back to, especially if you did some bunny walking early on.
Yeah, and it hiding a 5-item cave is pretty nice. 300 rupees worth of keys, and then small denominations of cash, and one other check that I kind of just wrote off of the memory immediately.
That's a good call. It's a piece of art. So $320 and a little piece of art. That's good knowledge there by Pichu. Usually one of those caves that you just walk in and out of.
Yeah, but in fact, it is a fairy spring, and when you're down to 2 hearts, it's not a bad idea to heal back up.
Interesting spot for sick kid. Just bombs though.
A very interesting place for a house, I'll say that much.
It explains why he's sick kid, I'll give you that.
Yeah, both Deep Fried and Zeruvian are getting a little low on the health situation as they edge on towards the Ice Armos fight here. Deep Fried going to drop in with 4.5 hearts.
Yeah, that is with a fairy though, so that could be a rather significant difference.
I think I would have been pretty tempted to go ahead and just consume that fairy, get to full, and have sword beams.
Yeah, I don't dislike that idea. Although, if we're looking at it, if because the fairy heals 7 hearts, so as long as Deep Fried can stay above 3, they can still use that and then not have to worry about sword beams being a pain in the butt for doing tempered sword damage.
Yeah, and if it were normal Ice Armos, I would be more inclined to agree, but in this particular case, when you're on the ice and it's just kind of difficult to move around, being able to just stand there and ensure that you're doing damage most of the time, it's really pretty nice.
Yeah, it's a fair point. Either way, I think we're going to be all right. We only got 2 left, and yep, now just 1, so everything should be good here. Now it's just getting into a rhythm. And have we actually had anyone check? We had one person check escape, right?
I'm not sure about front. Spy definitely got to Dark Cross from the other side. Zeruvian living dangerously here, but does get through that fight. Let's see. All right, so we've got 1 key. There's a bow. All right, so a bow behind Armos Knights. That checks out, video game. I see what you're doing.
Yeah, it definitely does check out. Retron's definitely showing its teeth here because we are 57 minutes in. We just still have so much left to do.
Yeah, there are dungeons that we still have to find. There are big keys for them that we still have to find. None of our runners has a glove yet. We have neither of the rods, interestingly enough.
Neither of the canes either. No flippers. No boots.
And it does feel like we've landed on a lot of those large density item caves as well.
Yeah, we've seen Blind's Hut, although we have not seen the back of it. I think we ran into Hype Cave, but we didn't. Again, we're going to have to go back there. And then, yeah, Mini Moldorum Cave was done. Well, there's your flippers sitting in Graveyard Ledge.
Yeah, we've got to get over to Dark Shopping Mall via connector, or, well, you can just fake flipper over here if you're really, really engaged in the madness of entrance.
Speaking of dungeons to be found, was the first I actually saw of Swamp, which is funny because I'm pretty sure all three of our runners at least have walked into it. And there's Samaria. You know what? Let's just complain about not having any items and watch it come through for us.
Yeah, that's another one of those that was locked away behind that moon pearl, and it's in a bit of an out-of-the-way location if you've already done all of the bunny walking in the area. So, really good for Pichu going back and making sure that that location gets checked off.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those seeds that's it's gonna help you out if you do your due diligence. Bombos in that first chest. Okay.
Yeah, now if you can find Ice Palace proper, you could go in and do some real damage.
Ice Palace is actually an arrow game. We have already seen it.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
The only dungeon I don't have eyes on right now is Misery Mire.
Yeah, we've seen a few entrances for Turtle Rock, but the Front of Thieves happened quite some time ago. I forget where Desert North was, but I know we've seen it. Everybody went in and stole a small key from it relatively early.
Yeah, that was the entrance you turned the old man into. That was the Death Mountain turn-in entrance, or whatever you prefer to call it.
Okay, Deep Fried. I wondered he was in the dark, and yeah, he's fighting turtles in the dark.
Yep, and this is one of those rooms that is infinitely easier if you have even a fire rod.
Give me a fire rod, give me a lamp. If you're good at going into the room in the NMG manner and you can knock all the turtles over, Ether will get the job done for you, actually, which is kind of a nice play, and it's much too late for Deep Fried. Comparatively, Zeruvian having that lamp says, well, that's not a problem. I can see all these turtles. See you later.
Yep, that really showing the difference between certain rooms in the dark and not. Because like you said, if you have a decent strategy for that room, it's not going to lose you too much time. It can get really, really rough really quickly. Bombo's tablet just taking the OS off and giving us bombs.
I'm not sure if that's an up or a downgrade.
Well, since Bombos is in the first chest of Swamp, we couldn't exactly go grab that, but...
Okay, Helma's got the magic bag. And another crystal. Suddenly Zeruvian up to 3 crystals. I guess we can kind of take stock at around the hour mark here, where Where's My Meme item has 4 crystals to their name combined, and Majora's Mask Marauders has 2. Both of them on the board for Deep Fried.
Yep, we're pretty limited on knowledge of crystals as well, other than the ones that we've physically cleared, so... I don't think we've seen Sahasrara either, so that is lack of knowledge on the green pendant as well. Well, Zeruvian gonna pop out of Elder Rite as well.
Yep, everybody's curious about their dark connectors.
Deep Fried, forgetting he has a mirror for a minute there, so gonna take an extra trip.
Well, Spy's already opened that. Does he want that check?
Spy has not opened it, I don't think, because Spy didn't have anything. Unless I've lost my mind. I thought Spy didn't open that chest, because Spy didn't have a mirror or anything to be able to do anything in here. I might be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure Spy didn't open that. I don't recall what's in there off the top of my head, so I don't think it's going to end up mattering. But I don't think Spy actually opened it.
Well, in that case, for the moment, they may just be leaving that one behind. I'm pretty sure we have seen it when Zeruvian Super Bunnied it, though, and it wasn't anything. I want to say it was a dungeon item of some variety.
Yeah, I don't recall it being useful.
Yep, there's Zeruvian landing on the flippers. Pichu's going to go back and get that bow now that she knows it's there.
This bomb jump being tricky.
As bomb jumps sometimes are. You think about this one, and normally you're so late in the game when you get here that you just bonk off of one of those pots with the boots. You don't really think about bomb jumping this all that often. Now, that doesn't necessarily go for entrance, and as these runners are all showing, they are more than decently conversant in the ways of the entrance randomizer.
Fun fact, if you let that anti-fairy bounce up against the pot twice, rather than the one time before you pick it up, it'll take the third time, it'll jump right out instead of having to wait for it.
Unfortunately, Deep Fried having to eat his fairy there on the laser bridge to stay alive.
This will be one new item for us. Spy found a glove somewhere and I missed it. Probably in Swamp, if I had to
Probably
guess.
in Swamp.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's Zeruvian paying the retro tax, going to the fish, and the fish says, "Here's a compass. Have fun."
Yeah, both players have enough money at this point that I think it's okay, though. Just $20 there, okay.
Yeah, that left behind check in Blind's hideout not really going to hurt anybody who super bunnied it early. Oh, alright, we hadn't seen all of our high-density caves. Here's Johnny Two Bombs behind that glove that Spy found.
The other bow. Okay.
Alright, well, I don't think he's going to be going to Ice Armos.
Yeah, no, I don't suspect we're going to see that. One of our wonderful trackers letting us know that it was in fact from Argus that dropped the glove. So,
Alright, that's a place for a glove.
it is at that. This would be a really intriguing place for an item here, because we've had several people stroll into GT and do what they can. So,
Yeah, Pichu without the lamp yet, not even going to be in the position to think about sequence breaking the fire rod puzzle in the next room, though.
I have some serious questions for this seed about progression.
I only really have one, and that's where is it?
Right. I mean, because even at this point, we have like some very small portions of progression. You know, flippers here and and a lamp hanging around and a glove. But like, how about the good stuff? How about the hey, let's go clear a dungeon fun pack? How about some big keys?
Yeah, some big keys. Maybe the fire rod. Fire rod could be good. Kind of surprised we haven't seen the return trip to ice from anybody yet, since both sides know about that Bombos medallion now.
Where is Ice Palace?
That's at archery game. At least that's where you told me where
Yep,
it
that's
was
Arrow
when I
game. That's
asked
right.
you like
Nope,
10
good
minutes
call.
ago.
Yep. Just had to go look at it again. That's why I write these things down. I have the brain of a goldfish. Actually, that's probably insulting to goldfish. I'm sorry.
If there was a goldfish spread, I think I would use it. It would be too accurate. Maybe I wouldn't use it because it would be too accurate. I'm not sure.
Would the bunny sprite for that be a fish stick?
Crispy deep fried fish stick?
With mayonnaise, obviously.
I don't think anybody should be surprised that deep fried, speaking of deep fried things, is in Swamp and he's just going to rush that glove.
Yeah, don't recall there being anything else useful in here, so. We actually do have a handful of clearable dungeons for everyone, so.
I think at this point the problem may be more we don't have enough of the dungeon information. We've managed to mostly land on crystals thus far, and if you're just going to guess your way into dungeons at that point, unfortunately, the number of pendants and the number of crystals is starting to become kind of even.
Actually, looking at it, we know 4 crystals and we know 1 pendant. So yeah, you pretty much nailed that spot on. We have 5 dungeons, 2 of them are pendants, 3 of them are crystals. So I feel like Ice Palace is going to be our next big play, though.
Seems like the kind of place that the game may just want to hide a fire rod.
Essentially, it's either that or it's Eastern Palace, since we do now have the big key for that. But that's a pendant, so I don't really know that anyone wants to be messing around in there if they have a choice.
What, we're not rushing the boss of Pendant Eastern Palace?
Oh, I might, but Eastern's burned me so many times in entrance, I'd probably just do it to not get burned. Man, there's nothing like doing a map check in a map shuffle in the Dark World and getting nothing.
And discovering that you have no maps for the dungeons you haven't already cleared.
Like I feel like that's the equivalency of the map just going, nuh-uh. You're like, hey, can I have? Nuh-uh. Okay, that's great. Thanks.
No, you cannot has.
Basically. Bring me burritos. Try again.
Yep, Spy getting the bad news from the small child. Looks like Ceruvian may be starting to head in that Ice Palace-ly direction here.
You know, you said bad news from small child, and the only thing I could think about was what, they're out of Thin Mints? Come on.
Oh, truly the darkest timeline. Spy going to get all of his small keys out of Mini Moldorm Cave. That's an 8 or a 9. I'm not sure which, but either way, it's way too many. He should probably go to pod or something.
Right. He should. He should keep on moving and get his butt down to Ice Palace. I honestly imagine that he will. He'll head down that way and go do it because it's Spy. He's not the first one in, though. Zeruvian takes that, and we'll see if there's anything in here. Zeruvian's going to be quite a bit faster too with that Samaria cane. So, oh no, wait, Spy should be grabbing that from Dig Game, right?
One would think, but he seems to be heading north instead. Oh, all right, that's right. He knew that the Taken he was there because Deep Fried found it a while ago. I absolutely understand going and getting a third sword that you know about that's 2 screens up before you go into Ice Palace.
Yeah, especially prior to Cold Snare. Neither of our runners on Majora's Mask Marauders know that this is Samaria, though, so this will be kind of fun. That would be ultimate hilarity if Spy decided to do this first and then did Dig Game. Oh, man.
That would have been pretty
really
fun,
hoping.
No, Spy's going to do the sensible thing.
Oh, I was really hoping. Just the opportunity to give him that much crap would have been spectacular. I can hear him now. All right, I'm going.
Yeah, Pichu's back, going to go ahead and clean up the pod crystal. This will be fine.
I don't think there was really anything in here either, other than the flute that we found fairly early on in the mail upgrade.
No, there really wasn't. But again, it's that crystal, and you have to put it on the board eventually.
Nice fairy grab.
Yeah, Pichu using her favorite meme item. Just going to go ahead and collect fairies.
I mean, to be fair, that is a net gain.
It really is.
Prior to asking if anyone's checked Shovel, I don't think so.
If anyone had, I would have to think it would be Zeruvian, and we missed it.
Yeah, but I think it's more likely that we're going to get that check after Ice Palace. Well, there's another dungeon we can complete. What's the prize? No idea. We can complete it.
Yeah, that way just go and complete it. It's fine. At this point, you're going to have to start biting the bullet on dungeons that you don't know about. Because there are still too many things you need, and you're starting to run out of places for them to be. Oh yes, shock, by the way, just in case anybody was waiting for me to say something about it. The fire rod in Ice Palace that I totally called 10 minutes ago. Yeah, it was there.
Yeah, makes sense.
And that's the thing, chat. You have to understand. I prepared that call 10 minutes in advance. You're just catching up to me now.
I feel like the seed prepared that call like when it was updated to this version, and that just throws everything in Ice Palace.
And that Ice Palace Big Key was one of, if not maybe the first that our runners found. I feel like they had that in their inventory since forever ago.
I think that was in Kakariko, because yeah, we were talking about it way back when I was like, you know what, it's a fetch quest, but it's nice to have early on, and yeah, oh, there you go.
Yeah, Ice Palace was in fact a pendant dungeon, so now we're back kind of biased in favor of crystals being the remainder of things.
Yeah, ironically enough, the one pendant that we're missing is the green one, which in theory Sahasrara would be able to tell us if we actually managed to find that one.
And maybe at this point the runners just kind of hope that Meyer is that pendant and they just don't have to find it.
That's a fair point. We're also slowly catching up with stuff, depending on what our last pendant is. I don't know. I feel like the possibility of TR being a pendant and not having to find the ice rod is equally as fun.
And that's also an appealing possibility.
Or jokes on us and it's Thieves Town, and it's like, well, we can just immediately go pull ped. Cool.
Just go pull head for your boots to get your ice rod out of whatever one item cave is in the King's Tomb location?
Could be vanilla. At this point, we're starting to need few enough items that we just go running through dungeons and hoping that they're along the way.
And speaking of running through dungeons and hoping they're on the way, Zeruvian taking that Thieves Town big key from Ice Palace and heading to Thieves.
Yep, 4 checks. They're all new. We can check them all, so, that's a nice bonus. And a 75% chance to be a crystal. So, like you said, the odds are now weighted heavily in favor of unknown dungeons being crystal dungeons. I think this is our first mimic cave. Maybe not. I think I've seen that bottle before.
Yeah, given that Pichu has 3 of the 4 available bottles, I have to imagine that she has collected that one. The chances are pretty good anyway.
Spy, meanwhile, following right behind Zeruvian into Thieves Town, and I think we're going to get a pedestal check here. Makes sense. We have. Actually, yeah, they have knowledge of one pendant. Okay, never mind. Cool. All done.
Deep Fried's going to go ahead and find out what's in the chests in Aga Tower.
Yeah, I think we saw both of those. I don't recall there being
Yeah, we
anything
may well
useful
have.
here.
It may have been so bad that I just blotted it out of my memory. That wouldn't be entirely uncommon.
Pichu gets a fire shield stolen, so that's fun.
Blind has the last sword and crystal.
Okay, so Thieves Down being a crystal means that our last one is Desert Mire or TR.
And in all of those cases, we're missing some component. We need to know where Mire is. We would need an ice rod. We'd need a Desert Palace big key.
Yep, which unfortunately means we're missing the other two of those items definitively for completing the seeds. Still a little bit to go here. I think this is going to be our first catfish check.
It's hanging around up here in the northeast with nothing really all that close to it. Surprisingly, not a complete scam, although with as much money as all of the runners have at this point, really being scammed of your time now rather than anything else.
Yep, Zora's the money scammer, catfish is the time scammer.
And Pichu is in Pendant Eastern Palace. Big chest, nothing.
I mean, honestly, with what we have in hand, this is one of the densest item locations left, unfortunately. I'm starting to think front of Thieves Town might be our answer, though, because especially with that fire rod in hand, I don't think we've seen those first three chests.
Oh, front of TR, you mean? You said Thieves Town, but that made no sense to
Yeah.
me, and I had to kind of double back on the idea of what
Nope.
it... Now, Ruvy's going to go check something else that fire rod opens up.
That's a good point, too. That's another 4 checks. But yeah, I meant Total Rock.
Oh, here we go. Big key to Ganon's Tower on Pendant Eastern Palace, Armos Knights. All right, that's a thing. That's 5 more checks.
It is, and they're all gross.
And at this point, you're really getting to that late game stage where one of the two teammates is just gonna have to go do the dumb check.
Yep, and there's a decent chance it's going to be Pichu because with Zeruvian just grabbing those mitts, I imagine this is going to be a Mire area play.
Yep, finally access to the Mire area. We never did get a connector that goes there, so we've got Mire area checks. We can mirror in and do a couple of desert area checks that have been unavailable to this point.
Yep, 3 entrances in the light world, 4 entrances in the dark world. Well, assuming that Mire isn't Quake for Zaru here. Okay.
Spike Cave. This at least has an item attached to it.
Yep. It's kind of interesting to have Spike Cave this late. Usually the first time I come across a stinking thing, it doesn't, I don't have the items required for it, so. That would have been really nice if that was a refill. I imagine Spy is going to take this back to the front of TR.
Seems like a decent time for it, although he's not heading in that direction at the moment.
He doesn't have the lamp, so he might be just going through the back this way, I guess. Because I think we've seen all these chests, although I don't know if Majora's Mask Marauders have seen all of them. I know that Deep Fried did Laser Bridge, but this one might be new here.
Yeah, tough to say no to a green potion, I guess. Pichu clean through on the icebreaker. Deep Fried is having a bit of an adventure here. Here's Meyer.
And we have everything required to beat it, so.
So at that point, you just clear the dungeon, and you hope it gives you one of the things you still need, like, say, a crystal.
Yep, we still don't have knowledge on Desert, Meyer, or Thief, or TR, but this could, if this is one, then we're basically looking at a 50-50, and it'll be interesting to see which teams find which items first, because that'll determine where we end up going.
Yeah, because they're going to need 2 of them to be crystals. It's not as though you can just clear Meyer and be done with it. You're still going to have to get one more answer, even assuming that this is the crystal. And Ruby just going to rush the boss here. He says, we need to know if this is the thing or if we're looking for the Ice Rod and the Desert Palace. Big key. Let's find that out first, and then if we're still looking for something like an Ice Rod, I can keep clearing here afterwards.
I think we're going to see a block. Oh, never mind. Going to grab that. Makes sense. Oh. Fetch quest.
Hi, Logic. Logic is fun.
Yeah.
That dungeon that 2 of our runners finished at about the 7-minute 30 mark is now logical at the 1 hour 35-minute mark.
There's actually also 2 items left behind there, because I don't think we ever saw the basement either, because we didn't have a fire source until much, much later.
Yeah, it looks like Pichu may be on a bit of dungeon cleanup duty here, going to go ahead and get the back of Skull Woods now.
Yeah, and this makes sense with Pichu on 2 crystals and Zeruvian potentially grabbing a 6th here, but at least on 5. It makes sense to have Pichu catch up while they just take a quick bite out of Vidi here.
It looks like Vidi may be biting back a little bit.
Well, you know, that's what eyeballs are good for. And that is a crystal. So that is our 6th crystal. And now it's just a desert or Thieves Town toss-up. Thieves Town, I keep doing that. Desert or TR toss-up. Ice Rod or Desert Big.
It seemed like Majora's Masked Marauders had the idea there for a minute with Spy starting to make those fire rod checks, and now he's just kind of doing other things rather than continuing to push that fire rod. Now, that Eastern Palace Big Key does get you to the GT Big Key, which does open up 5 more checks in GT, but first you have to make the choice to go finish Pendant Eastern Palace. Meanwhile, Zeruvian in the Northern Firelock Chest of Mire has finally pulled the boots at 95 minutes. Finally pushing A does something aside from just picking up pots and opening chests.
The speed run can now officially begin. It's been speed walking up until this time, feels like. That's been a lot of our time, too. The flute really ended up making this seed not completely awful because we didn't have proper Dark World access for a good long time. And with no boots, just having to run through connectors has been frustrating at the very least.
Looks like Pichu and Spy are going to land in GT at just about the same time here.
Yep, big difference here is that Spy does not have the GT Big, so
And you have to wonder, will Pichu bother to make any of those GT big checks? Because knowing that Mire is a crystal, that just maybe get the mitts and go get that, get your boots out of it. The boots open up some more checks as well. I'm not entirely certain that she's going to spend a lot of additional time here.
yeah, I think this is one of those gut reaction calls where, like, you can look at the seed and be like, you know what, this really feels like it's going to be a GT seed, and I'm just going to go knock this out. Or it can be a situation where you're like, I feel like the boots probably unlocks enough that we're going to be okay. But it's definitely like a pretty definitive call you have to make. We also might very well see the big chest grabbed here because you're relatively close to it. That's not too much extra time without seeing the climb.
Yeah, and it is about the best chance you're going to get to check it at this point.
Oh yeah, no. If you leave it behind, you're done. At this point, we're not. It's just not happening.
You can see when that call from Spy came in, mitts in the compass chest of Ganon's tower, and Deep Fried pulls the flute right out, and we know exactly where he's headed.
Yeah, it's interesting when you have situations like that, runners in voice calls, and you can like see the exact moment when something happened. Because usually it's a situation where you're like, "Oh, this is over here," and it's like, "Oh, great, cool, I'll grab that either when I can slot it in or as soon as I'm done with this thing." Or there are some things you're just like, "Hey, go do this right now." Oh, wow, that was a call.
And now it just remains to be seen if that is going to be crystal number 7 for meme item, or if we are indeed looking for a Desert Palace big key, because the ice rod is on the table.
Yep, so I imagine this is going to be, this is going to be a climb up the mountain. Actually, if I wrote it down right, this one's Laser Bridge is Mimic Cave, so I don't think Pichu's going to be able to get there from here. Oh, never mind, because Hera goes to TR Bridge. Wow, that is that's so weird. I'm not used to that. Oh, that's funny.
Just entrance rando things. Yeah, Ceruvian, of course, is just going to continue checking entrances, see if you can pull the Desert Palace big key out while you're waiting to find out whether or not you need to. Given that he's sitting in the situation where all he needs to do is clear the one last crystal dungeon, he's got 6 on the board already.
Right. And even if this is the situation, then, I mean, all he'll have to do is go kill Armos Knights and then go to GT. So it's not a huge time sink. Pichu's going to want to be careful here. 2 hearts. I don't. Oh, no, she does have a fairy, doesn't she? So never mind. We're going to be okay. Ah, that's hilarious. The map of TR.
Well, that's kind of timely, but I don't think it's going to change a whole lot now. I guess Pichu could skip the second half of this fight, theoretically, although you wouldn't, because this could just be the DP Big.
Yeah, especially because we know that it's green pendant, so it's technically for 2 items. But we do still need that Desert Palace big key. This seed deciding that we're not quite done with it yet. Speaking of, I don't think we've seen Sahaswala yet, still.
He's got to be kicking around here somewhere, right?
I mean, we're kind of running out of entrances. TR main is one. Some of these boots checks are another. We didn't see this one. Oh, there he is. That's kind of funny. Hey, Pichu, when you get a minute, come check this entrance. See if the green pendant's anything.
Or it could just be sitting in the back of Saha's closet.
Could just be right there. And yep, just like you said about immediate communication. There you go. Go get that key.
So those boots from Meyer were in fact required. And meme item is going to get their first finish on the board very quickly now, I think.
Yep, just a quick landmo murdering, and Zeruvian gets to skip every key on the planet here since he still has 3 and only needs 1 more.
Even manages to skip that key in favor of the magic. I feel like you muscle memory into that pot as much as anything.
Yeah, probably you're just grabbing that pot because you got to grab one of them, so you might as well.
And in most circumstances, in a retro-style mode, you're going to want that key. But no, Ruby is really down to the end game at this point. That is 7 crystals for Zeruvian, just has to go fight the pig.
Yep, and with Pig and Sanctuary, it won't even be that long of a trip. Just a quick flip, and a quick dash. And hey, we managed to skip the GT climb.
Imagine skipping the GT climb. It's really backloaded with the items. You kind of hope to avoid it, and here we are.
All those lasers going in different directions was so aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, Buttersword Silver is going to make pretty quick work of this pig, I would expect.
Yeah, at this point, this is the take a deep breath, don't make any mistakes, and just keep rolling moment of the seed. You did the hard part.
We're going to get 3 almost simultaneous Vitreous fights here. Pichu, yeah, once again getting into some trouble with that hell situation. Here goes that fairy that you've been talking about for the past couple of times.
Hey, look, that's what you got it there for. Meanwhile, Zeruvian throwing a triple down. So yeah, whew, that was quickly done. Now we just have the 1x3 bridge. And then Zeruvian will be the first one done with quite a bit of a lead here. And there it is. Zeruvian finishing in first place with an official time of 1 hour, 46 minutes, and 8 seconds.
And now everyone starts wondering, okay, so where is everyone else?
Yep. This is where the chaos part of the equation comes in.
Because Majora's Mask Marauders are thinking, okay, are we on the clock? Do we have a minute? Do we have less? Are we just waiting for a dot done? And Pichu is thinking, I still have to pick up 2 more crystals here. Ruby's given me a lead, but how much lead is there going to be?
Exactly. Because Majora's Mask Marauders is going, we still don't know what we need. I've been on both sides of this equation from the where's my meme items side of it. And as the person who finishes first, you're basically in voice chat just talking to your teammate like, look, don't worry about it. Don't look at race time. I'll keep an eye on it. If it comes down to it, I'll tell you how much time you have right now. No one's finished. Take a deep breath. Play your game. And if you're the other person, you're just going,
That sounds fairly accurate.
Until, of course, you get into the point where, like, so right now we're at 2 minutes. It's still not enough time, but give a couple more minutes here when no one from Majora's Mask Marauders finishes. You start doing the math, like, okay, I've got at least 4 minutes after this exact moment to finish, and that's if they both finish right now. I think I'm okay. You can start to kind of take a deep breath once the math starts showing up on your side a little bit.
But this is why Pilot Spoiler is really the breathe a sigh of relief mode. You get to know. Now, alternatively, if your opponent is right on top of you, then you know and it's terrifying. But in a situation like this, you get to know and it's, oh, well, I've got plenty of time. I can take this relatively easy. If I feel the need to go get a safety, I can do that. The magic shop's just in Kakariko Village.
So, are you traditionally the runner or the pilot in those?
I am the runner.
Okay, so I think you're different than most runners that I've piloted because I'm always the pilot, and I basically to a T. Every single person I've piloted has told me, "Shut your mouth, don't say a damn thing about where my opponent is, ever." I was like, even if you have a 5 minute lead, yes. I'm like, okay. So I feel like I'm not allowed to share that information. I just kind of have to sit on it.
All right, well, not every rando runner is the same necessarily. That's certainly a true truth.
Meanwhile, that's another crystal down for Pichu, so we just have to grab the Desert Pig out of Sahasrah's closet and then go kill us a Lamno.
Looks like Deep Fried is getting close to landing on the Desert Palace key here. It is looking like we're going to be talking too little too late, unfortunately, for Majora's Masked Marauders here in this first game. Now, we do say game one because this is a best of three set. Taking this game gives Where's My Mime an advantage in this series, but this is not the end by any stretch of the imagination.
Yep, and speaking of pilot, that is going to be one of our next two modes as well. So we'll get to see one of those, hopefully. The other one, I believe, is just our co-op Randomizer.
Yep, Pilot Spoiler, Co-op Randomizer, and Co-op All Dungeons are the other three potential modes for playoff matches. And interestingly enough, Co-op AD seems to be the least thrown so far as the playoffs are opening up this week. We've seen pretty even numbers of the other three, Retrance, Randomizer, and Pilot Spoiler, but the last time I checked, there was only a single one Co-op AD on the list.
You know, I feel like the other three modes are pretty specific. Like, if you feel like you have... Retrance is definitely something you can feel like you have an advantage over your opponents with, or conversely, a disadvantage. Same thing with Pilot and with Randomizer. I feel like there are a decent amount of teams that have opinions about those three modes in either one direction or the other. Whereas co-op All Dungeons is just like, yep, it's a thing. You go in, you share your stuff, you clear your dungeons. So I'm not super surprised. I think that we're going to see a lot of co-op All Dungeons for games 2 and 3, though. I think that'll kind of even it out.
That's entirely possible, as Pichu puts that 7th crystal on the board. Deep Fried also putting 7th crystal on the board. The Spy is going to get the Desert Crystal, but still needs to get that crystal out of Palace of Darkness. And to your point, I feel like the choice for co-op AD is, we feel like in regular, normal rando, where you have to go basically everywhere and do basically everything, that we have an execution advantage on our opposition. Now, that can also be true to some extent in Pilot Spoiler, but you still need somebody who is comfortable enough with that spoiler log piloting you to make use of that execution advantage. In Co-op AD, if you've just got two people who you feel are really good at playing the game, that's an option you can avail yourselves of.
Right. It's also a very different level of execution. Like, there's one thing running through it and being like, hey, I can get my portion of 180 collection rate really, really quick versus, hey, I'm not afraid of 4-heart Mothula.
It is interesting the way all four of the playoff modes have really kind of different feels, maybe different implications about how a team feels about their own fortunes.
Very much so. I also think that part of what I wasn't explicitly clear on, I think we're going to get a lot more co-op All Dungeons as the series wear on, because I feel like you're going to be in a situation where it's like, hey, that one mode that you didn't pick because you didn't want to play it, that's going to be your option. Or you can do co-op all dungeons. And I feel like we're going to see a lot of co-op all dungeons in that circumstance.
Yeah, more co-op AD for game 3s, perhaps.
Neither of our runners currently fighting Ganon have their silvers, so it is just a quick old 12 spins.
And both of them are a decent chunk of the way through those 12 spins.
Yeah, Pichu took a little while longer to set up, so I think Deep Fried's got a spin or two. But overall, going to be a pretty close one here. And there's Deep Fried with the last spin, and Pichu should just have one or two more while Spy is heading towards the back of Pod here. And there we go. Basically clearing at the exact same time here. Deep Fried gets in just a couple seconds ahead, and Pichu just has a cutscene.
Yeah, there it is. Go ahead and get your GGs in chat for Where's My Meme item. Zeruvian with the #1 finish, Pichu with the 3 finish. 1-3 is good enough to take home the victory in this Game 1 match. And it looks like we're going to start getting some of our runners here into the voice call.
Yep, both of our winning team are here. Deep Fried, Zeruvian, GGs to both of you.
Where's my meme teammate?
I'm not sure where your meme teammate has gone.
Second, hold on. GG's though. Hi, Deep Pride.
GG's. Hello, hello. I will be taking the interview solo as Spy needs his beauty sleep for deer season tomorrow.
Can a tracker resend the invite? Pichu got an invalid invite from the bot.
Should be able to do that.
If not, I'll work some magic on this side. But GG, Majora's Mask Marauders. It sounds like, based on our conversation in the race time room, we have found completely different paths towards the end game here.
Yes.
Yeah, the boots, when we got them, we're just like, I'm like, all right, I'm going to headlong check all of these boots checks because we hadn't found Saha yet, and hoping that was going to be our knowledge for it. Once Spy called out boots, I did the dumb of forgetting Bombos in Swamp Palace, walked into ice and went, I don't have Bombos. Where was Bombos?
Oh no! Yeah, I saw Bombos in Swamp Palace. I'm like, okay, well, there's our access into Ice Palace, and then you get a glove off of Argus, and you just like, oh, well, now I can go clear Ice Palace, so I guess I'm doing that next.
Yup, that's kind of what Spy did, was straight from those two. I feel like we may have done too much overworld, or just a little sloppy in our early game with all of the really bad connectors. That early game was, man.
Still trying to get Pichu in here.
Mm-hmm.
So she can have a word too, because I'm sure she's got some things to say about the sea too.
There we go. GG's, Pichu.
Thank you.
All right, it's your turn. What do you think? How'd this go?
I'm happy at the villain.
I called out early Bugnet. I'm like, you're never getting that. And she's like, I'm totally getting that.
And then then he told me, oh, I missed like the connector to like Spectacle Rock. I'm like, okay, I'm on my way to get the fill and get the entrance.
Well, no, because I bomb jumped and I don't remember where I got spat out, but it wasn't.
Bonk Rock.
Oh right,
Desert Right. Oh yeah,
that was Bonk Rock because Desert Right was Middle Paradox.
Yeah, Middle Paradox. Because I was like, I mismarked, and I went, crap, that's the wrong entrance. Flute back to Desert. Yeah, that was...
Roast linear seed.
Yeah.
Just go find exactly what it wants you to do, and then go find the next thing that's exactly what it wants you to do, and just ad infinitum, just bleh.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah, along with the super late glove and the super late moon pearl and just on and on and on down the list, it was a seed that really didn't want to give you access. It wanted you to do very specific things in a very specific order, and if you didn't do those things, you were just kind of wandering around and hoping that something would shake loose.
I mean, it didn't even have the common courtesy to tell you what you wanted to do until the exact last minute there.
Oh, but we saw that mirror up on Bumper Ledge. It's like YOLO connectors. We need that mirror, and of course, freaking
Yeah, I did the same thing. I found it immediately, then completely blanked on the turtle rock that's on the other side. So when you get the fire rod, I'm like, oh shoot. Did you track where that was? Because I didn't.
It's like, no, I didn't.
So I'm like worried about that the whole game. And then it's like you get your glove, and I'm worried about catfish for the next 20 minutes. I'm like, oh god.
Yeah.
This was definitely with the late glove and late boots and relatively late mirror. This was definitely a seed of like, hey, you're going to have like 12 of these little dots on your tracker. Don't miss any.
Yeah, it really was.
At least I didn't fall for the trap that's Hera Basement.
I was waiting for somebody to do that. I'm not going to lie. Especially with that Hera Big, I was like, man, they haven't seen the big chest. We haven't seen Hera Basement. That might be the most dense location we have outside of the GT climb, which is gross.
Oh yeah, we were never doing the GT climb because we were last locating that GT big key.
Yeah, there's no way. It sounds like you guys were never, ever going to get that big key. And then Pichu pulls it. I'm like, yeah, I'll do right side GT as she's getting the big key. And I'm like, all right, if you want to come get your mitts, because we definitely need those, and then do big chests and then maybe climb. Then I find Meyer and I find Boots, and I'm just like, oh, come on, game. Give me a break.
I mean, thankfully it let you put it off, though, because if you hadn't found that, then one of you probably would have climbed.
Well, at that point, she gets the ice rod out of the big chest. So you bolt because you're either desert or Turtle Rock, and we didn't know because we were late to the Boots.
Everyone was late to the boots in this.
I think the Boots were late to the Boots in this seed.
Yes, can confirm.
But yeah, as soon as it was boots, we finished Meyer, and then it's like, all right, I'm going boots checks. You go finish Hera because Spy hadn't finished Hera. Did the basement, did the big chest, and I was just all the boots checks. And if it wasn't there, I was going up to open up Turtle Rock.
I never opened Turtle Rock, Peachy.
I never opened Turtle Rock. Movie.
I also never got Quake because it was an Eastern.
Yep.
Yeah, and that book would lead to absolutely nothing.
There's a thing also in this scene. I was like, I have 5 hearts and Ruby has 12, and I'm like, I
Just
want
like,
hearts. And
I'm
at some point
calling
I go
out
read
all
pen,
the
and I was
HP.
like, at some point I go read pen, and I'm like, why don't I get that heart?
I'm calling
have
every
9.
piece. It's just the way co-op goes. Is one player finds all the hit points and all the heart containers, and the other player is literally never going to them because they're that far out of the way. I'm like, well, here's Sank Heart in the map chest of Meyer, but you're probably not going to go get that one either. It's like, God.
No, I had all the mail upgrades.
Well, yeah,
So I got none of the mail.
I told her where the red mail was. It's like, I already have a shirt. I'm like, yeah, but you have no hearts.
Yeah, but I have a shirt at least. A blue shirt.
I could have hugged Ganon twice and still lived because I still had the fairy bottle from Peg Cave.
I'm not gonna lie, that fairy bottle did you well, though, Pichu.
Yeah, on VD. Like, I checked before. Like, I checked the bottles, like, okay, I have a fairy, so I can just play, like, dangerously on VD.
Yeah, just go ahead and just do NMG spins and get hugged by eyeballs like I did, and I was just like, I don't care, I've got a gold sword, you're dead.
This is fine.
Oh, you really had no health.
I didn't have health!
Oh my God.
Well, I'm actually gonna pull the restream because I have no idea what her
I have
NMG looks
9.
like.
Like,
Yeah,
I
there was a
mirrored...
point where Piju was still on 4 or 5 hearts and everybody else was double digits or really closing in on it.
Well, I mean, it's because what ended up happening was everybody was on like 5 hearts, and then we blinked, and Zaru had like 11, and it was just like, oh, well, that happened.
Oh my god, she does finish with 9. My goodness.
Like, before getting the summary on digging, I was like, I'm going to mirror. I'm going to get the take any there just to get them one more heart, and then
Right,
and
because
then
I
I'm
called it.
breaking most of the hearts
Did
you
you
called
guys see me walk in and just walk out of that take any? Like, I don't need the heart. I don't need the blue goo. I don't want to ditch the fairy for a blue goo, but I want to keep the opportunity to get a blue goo. I'm just like, I'm not bothering. I just called it out and I left. Like,
Yeah, like I didn't have health. And I was mad at myself dying to Ice Armos with the first
Oh.
time.
I call out the bow and she's like, words we can't say on SpeedGaming.
In French.
In French, okay.
I mean, I feel that. I kind of felt the same way when I saw the bow behind Ice Armos, and I didn't even have to fight the darn.
But the other bow in Hype Cave.
Yeah, that was rude too.
That was funny because I had gotten the bow from behind Ice Armos. I hate the fight with not sword beams or not bow, and I'm like slashing furiously trying to kill it because Spy ran out of keys in GT going at the fire stake room, ran out of keys. So I finished throwing. I was like, bow, and then there was, of course, the bow's there. Yes, I'm coming back for that one after I finish this loop. Hype Cave. Oh, bow! Don't need to go do it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I would have loved to hear that in real time.
Yeah. I that was the safe for speed gaming version.
Right.
And that's the danger of having all of these restreamed, because as much fun as I find commentary and doing commentary for races like this generally, so much of the time it's a lot of fun to get to hear that the two-runner banter in co-op, and you kind of lose some of that when you have to provide a restream viable feed.
Right. The
No, it's
chaos
something
and the
that,
screaming.
That one game a couple years ago that Tyler Salt and teammate had live audio, and they knew it too, over on a League channel. That was something else.
I wouldn't be able to have, because like the only people that I play co-op with, I swear entirely too much at, so like I just wouldn't be able to have audio on a normal channel.
I have no idea what you're talking about with that, Hammer. No clue at all.
Unless you've heard me race with Spy, you
I don't have to. I've heard you race with Zeke. I've heard you race with me.
It's not me.
I'm just saying that now that I've raced with Spy, I understand.
Pichu has to deal with my
Right.
Sailor Bow too.
Deep Fried, he's not even here to defend himself, he's sleeping already.
Yeah, I wish him good luck, have fun, so that he can.
Trust me, he can't. He wouldn't be able to defend himself if he was here or not. I promise.
No, he'd be agreeing.
Right.
Probably.
And he'd be saying something to me on the side that's also not appropriate for speed gaming.
Shush.
So what we need to do is we need to get like a dump button on like live radio air that you can just be like, you're like 20 seconds ahead of what's actually going to be shown, and if something happens you can just hit like the dump audio button to be able to make it that we can hear most of the commentary.
That would be wild.
I'm trying to imagine just how messy that could get.
I'm just imagining all of the ulcers that the entirety of the Speed Gaming staff are getting right now.
Oh.
I mean, all they have to say is, no, we're not allowing that. You guys are insane.
That would be the intelligent choice.
And I mean, let's be honest, with all of us in the booth, I feel like everybody already knows we're all insane. If not, hello, my name is Hammer Bro. I'm insane. Now I've warned you all.
You probably heard me go nuts before.
Absolutely, in the best possible
I was
way.
talking to Speed Gaming chat. If you've been here for a few years, your name just kind of like, oh, it's that guy. He just shouts out loud when he finds a hook shot. No.
And speaking of craziness, Deep Fried, I believe your team has choice for Game 2?
Yes, indeed, and we have gone with Spy and Bright Eyed in Randomizer.
Ha! You can't make me.
What do you mean you can't make you?
No, I figured that was Deep Fried's opinion of Randomizer, which is
Oh,
No, it's a case of I'm the pilot.
got it. Makes sense. Yeah, you can't have spy piloting.
okay.
No.
Writes this down.
Writes this down.
I'm taking notes. It's right down.
Well, at this point, it's what would have happened. You have if it goes to game 3, it's going to be Bright and I, and your choice of AD co-op AD or pilot spoiler. So, oh,
And I know I'm not going to be part of it, so you know.
Don't reveal too much. That's our master plan, Pichu. No.
No, but our opponents already know I'm playing Randomizer.
yes. So it'll
But
be
not
a
the restream.
marathon Pichu and Randomizer sometime early next week. Probably Monday.
Yeah, Monday I think at 8:30 Eastern, I believe.
I believe that is the time as well. I will probably try to sign up for commentary.
I'm sorry to hear that.
You'll see me use the Blacknet a lot, so if I find it.
I mean, it worked out well this seed.
Yep.
Yeah.
It saved me
But
on
yeah.
really.
But yeah, Ruby, if you want to come with me on Monday for the match, I am all game for it.
Sure, I'll just call off of work since I'm literally not available to play anyway. That is part of the problem is holiday season and retail do not get along very well, especially not when people disappear. So I've been working 4 to midnight central.
Gross.
Yeah,
That's
it's not,
a schedule.
it is not very happy. It makes scheduling during playoffs quite the pain.
Right, because everyone's like, okay, well, I'm available after I get off work. And you're like, yeah, I'm getting on work when you're getting off work.
Pretty much, yeah. 9
That
to
is-
5,
If
both might be.
you're in retail, you're probably working weekends too. So
Surprisingly, I'm free on most Saturdays, but not
Nice.
Thanksgiving weekend. Go figure. So
yeah, that's not surprising.
Well, this ended up working out for everybody, and we will see if a game 3 is needed.
Yeah, thanks for putting on a great show in game 1. This one was interesting. Hammer, I had a lot of fun calling it with you.
Oh yeah, it was definitely a blast, and these 4 runners made it made the best of this seed, honestly, because this seed can go jump off a cliff.
Thanks for rolling it, Hammer.
I
Good
told
job.
you, I told all of you, this is not my fault. I said, I'll roll it, but you'll regret it. And all of you guys were like, oh, it's fine. I take no blame.
I didn't ask for that. Spy did. So I told you, we'll always blame Spy. It's Spy's fault.
That's fair. Well, he's already in bed, so,
I mean-
you know,
Even more reason to blame him.
this seed just knocked him out.
GG's again, Deep Fried. GG Spy.
Yep.
I'll still get you next time. Thank you, Hammer, for providing what I'm sure is riveting commentary. And mind DM for tampering him a little bit.
You're not wrong.
No. What we were both doing was driving Ikir up the wall because he was telling us where everything was, and we weren't watching chat because we were trying to track this thing on our own because we're crazy.
Ikir and Fiery, thank you for tracking. I see in the volunteer chat, Ikir calling the comms out on more than one occasion. Pay attention to chat!
Roughly 1 hour apart.
I mean, look, after the second call out, I just had to keep doing it intentionally, so.
But yeah, I guess we go ahead and wrap this one up at this point. One more time, thank you for putting on the show, Hammer. Thank you for the co-coms. Fiery, Ike here, thanks for pushing all those buttons and keeping us on track, because very clearly we needed it. Chat, I hope everybody out there in chat land was entertained by this one. There is a bunch more action coming up. Link to the past Randomizer League. Let's see really quick. Saturday... I don't think we have channels assigned yet, but we've definitely got some open matchups and 1 invitational on the slate. So yeah, just go ahead and check back speedgaming.org/schedule. You can find out when Link to the Past Rando League is going on and all of the other wonderful things that Speed Gaming brings to you. But for now, Hammer, go ahead and have final word because I think we've done the thing at this point.
Yeah, as you basically mentioned, GG's to our runners. Thank you for all of our volunteers, and may your veteran seeds be nicer than this one was. Have a good night, everyone.